Hey you, welcome back to the channel. And today we want to talk Andrew Yang. Is Andrew Yang too nice? In particular, specifically, in going up against Donald Trump. So we're going to delve into that a little bit today. Also, we have a cool new feature on our website, bitcoinnyk.com. What is bitcoinnyk.com? It is a website that gives universal basic income to the entire globe. So if you're into a universal basic income, join our website. And so you can start earning credits that go to establishing universal basic income for the entire world. Now, interesting enough, we have Andrew Yang up here, which is part of our new feature of the site, and that's called the Market Predictor. And what is the Market Predictor? Well, it helps us to establish outcomes of upcoming events. It could be anything from elections to the stock market to sentiment on particular incidents that's happened in the world. And the market sentiment is gathered. And if you're part of the group that predicts the outcome, or you have the most people that support the idea, you win prizes. You win prizes that go along with your universal basic income into the platform. So pretty cool stuff. Make sure you join today. But interesting enough, testing out the Market Predictor, we have that very question posed. Andrew Yang, is he too nice to face up against Donald Trump? So let's talk about that a little bit today. So it wasn't very long ago during Andrew Yang's campaign that people were saying, well, Andrew Yang is not very emotional. He's almost like a robot, right? He just kind of cites these figures and all this math and stuff. And so I think how I look at it, when I think of people that are deep into mathematics and logic and a variety of things like that, many things come to mind. Maybe not always nice is the idea. And not saying that nice is a bad thing, nice, the idea of nice guys finish last, that may not always be true. And, being polite is sometimes the best way to go about things. But there's also a time and a period where you need to be assertive and you need to be stern and get things done. And being the president of the United States, there are going to be many situations like that where you have to answer to situations and conditions that aren't the very best, right? That aren't the situations that would be something that would be desirable for you. So Andrew Yang, mathematician, kind of falls somewhat, or to some, kind of fell under that umbrella of the logic, not very emotional candidate. So how does he go from that to being too nice, as come up in several articles that I've run across? Well, I think for me, I don't think nice is the right category for what Andrew Yang's his how he presents himself. I see him as quite jovial at times, right? He's kind of humorous and funny, and that's cool. But I don't think he really falls on that category. Also interesting enough, when people make the comparison between Andrew Yang and Donald Trump, how he would fare in a direct debate between Donald Trump. I think the real question, though, is everybody's kind of going to be under that umbrella of on the receiving end of Donald Trump. Many people know that Donald Trump, he goes for the kill shots and the blows, maybe even the low blows. So a lot of politicians who are accustomed to doing things certain ways are going to probably find themselves much out of their element with Donald Trump. So I think kind of singling Andrew Yang out in this, I don't think it's anything that is pointing specifically to him being too nice. There are several other candidates I can think of that will probably fall under the many similar claims to Andrew Yang. If we go back to when Donald Trump won his election, maybe some might think Jeb Bush was too nice, right? How he kind of just, mopped the floor with Jeb Bush. So many candidates are going to face this, but I don't think nice is the right word. I think I look at Andrew Yang as a mix between a mathematical person and a jovial person. But he has shown several times where he could be quite serious about things and how to deal with stuff, and I could see where he can be be a person who doesn't really fit the category so much. Definitely not the category of too nice. Nice is fine, but too nice is generally going to be too much for people. So anyway, we got that poll set up. We love for you guys to participate, and if you're in agreement with the largest mark to Andrew Yang being either too nice or not falling in that category too nice, we got some prizes for you all to win. So make sure you join and participate. Let's talk next about universal basic income in a good economy. The idea is out that Trump has, based on GDP numbers, he's produced this better economy. Now we know how politics works. So I hope many of us understand by now that the economy doesn't change overnight, and the economy is generally a process that could be a result of many policies from years back, administrations past, and a variety of things. And so, of course, what generally we get is administrations who take credit, of course, for good administrations. I'm sorry, good economic conditions, right? Whether it's their doing or somebody else's. But when they're bad economic situations, they're very quick to say, well, it's the fault of somebody else's, and they won't own that present economy. But they will own that present economy when it's when it's favorable for them to do so. Then they will say, I did it, right? So that's pretty interesting. So universal basic income in a good economy. So many more articles I found have said things like Andrew Yang is the apocalyptic president, right? He's the person who should become president when the world's coming to an end, because the narrow short-sightedness that we have as human beings is just something I think is kind of inherent right now to being human, because we can very much see a serious set of circumstances coming, and we can so easily go, well, we got a few more years for this, and kind of wait till the last minute and try to put something together, and instead of addressing the problem now, where it can be fine-tuned and efficient enough to deal with what's going to be a major problem. But we'll wait till the last year and then say, okay, well, now it's time to look for that person who's addressing what's the serious problem that's on the horizon. So some people go there with it and say, well, UBI should be used for these apocalyptic, futuristic, dystopian-like conditions, right? And then you have just looking at the GDP numbers themselves, and then you come to the conclusion of are these numbers real, or is it more polling data? And let me say this about polling data. Polling data in many cases is all we have to go on. That is very true. And we should use polling data, and we need to do that to get some indicator. But it's also very important to note that with all that said, that doesn't necessarily mean polling data is accurate, right? It doesn't mean that it is true. For instance, Joe Biden's polling numbers right now. How many people believe that's true? Maybe it is, and okay. But anyway, let's get back to that. So, many times where we're dealing with GDP numbers or unemployment numbers, we get a lot of the story left out of those numbers, right? Like with unemployment, we get people who just gave up going to work, right? And they just, they couldn't find a job. So they kind of just went outside of those numbers. And now people think that, oh, well, they're unemployed now or things are better. Well, not necessarily so. And with these supposedly great GDP numbers and a variety of things that's supposed to be creating all these positive effects, why don't we just take a test with that, right? You look at yourself. Is your life are you seeing the improvements? Are you reaping the rewards and benefits of what's being suggested in the data? When you talk to your friends and family, are they in a better position than they were? Because I think many will find that maybe it doesn't sound as good as they seem to make it sound, right? Like we're in this booming great economy. But where people still struggling to make ends meet, they're struggling to get bills paid. They still got to work 2, 3 jobs, and, and that's the reality of a lot of people's lives, right? With that, right? Like Andrew Yang brings out, a lot of the mom and pop establishments and businesses and local in their local economies are still disappearing, and all these negative effects are still abound. So we got to be careful when we try to go in that mindset like everything's all right just because the data suggests that. And so we got to be careful with that. Um, next, Joe Biden. So we've been looking at Joe Biden's polls, and he's just leading. He's flew past Bernie Sanders. And again, to me, this is another Democrat, some kind of problem in the Democrat camp that I don't understand. So Joe Biden just comes in and he flies past Bernie Sanders and past everybody. And I think the main idea behind I think one of his first campaign, his big campaign ads had to do something about what happened with Donald Trump in Charlottesville, right? And I just found that interesting that he went there with that. And I imagine he went there on Donald Trump with the Charlottesville thing and made his campaign the big thing about that was because maybe he was buying into the GDP data and all that as well, and saying, well, we're in a booming great economy, so I can't hit Trump there, so let's try to hit him back on this racism thing happened in Charlottesville. And my take on that is, yeah, they're using that to try to turn voters. I don't know exactly who they're turning away from Trump, because I think in that whole particular ad, I think with Trump, the people either accepted him as a racist already and are going to vote for him anyway, or didn't. I don't think there's any new revelation, about what happened in Charlottesville that points to Trump being a racist or not, to the point is going to affect his voters in that area. So I just thought that was a weird campaign ad to go in. But again, maybe he did that because he didn't have much more else to go with. But Joe Biden is also, isn't he kind of this throwback to this strange union with the Obama administration and the Clinton administration? And what I'm saying about this, I'm not necessarily demonizing the Obama administration because, as we know, Obamacare came out of that and Obama did some great things. But him choosing Joe Biden, just some strange things as we go back into history and look at Joe Biden. I'm not sure why he chose him either, really. But it's just some strange ideas with Joe Biden and this entanglement of the Obama administration with the Clintons. And the reason I make that statement that way is because it just brings the question home: is it that the Democrats didn't want just the same? It doesn't seem like the Democrats really want to change anything, right? You're going back to those ideas and concepts of these type of liberal base that caters to the establishment politics. Still, nothing really changes with that, and it just seems like just more of an extension of that, right? And so that's where I'm confused about how he jumps in. Everybody goes, "Oh yeah, we'll vote for Joe Biden." Now another thing is, it's the idea. I remember watching a political movie years ago with the comic Eddie Murphy called Distinguished Gentleman, where he wins a Congress seat just based on picking a name that was well known. It was something like Thomas Jefferson, something like that. Maybe kind of a play on Bill Clinton too. And the people were just voting on him because they liked his name. They recognized his name. Is that what's happening with Joe Biden? I think people are just latching on to just they know who Joe Biden is. And that's what generally happens, right? You know, it's sad to say, but Americans are a lot smarter now. Technology, the internet, we are a lot smarter than we used to be, right? But in politics, a lot of American base, we're still not that political savvy to the point where we'll just go to places people we're familiar with without even really looking at the policies, looking at the past of the policies, or looking at the conditions that we were under with these people. And so you take somebody like Joe Biden, who he does this slogan about the racism and trying to link it to Donald Trump, but then we find out when we go back to the mid 90s, he was a big advocate for the crime bill that actually has affected minority groups. So he was involved with a lot of that as well. But yet at the same time, and he had some different statements he made about Obama that some kind of seen as, not real cool. And so some people's trying to understand why Joe Biden was selected by Obama, to begin with. But it's the familiarity, right? It's just the people latching on to what they know. And just saying it's Joe Biden. We remember him from the Obama administration. He was the vice president, right? And to me, that just signals that the Democratic Party wants no change whatsoever. Whatsoever. The polls and the data are showing us that. What is the Democratic Party doing? Right? It is showing us that. Now, again, you start off leading in the polls. That doesn't mean you're going to finish off like that. But the way Joe Biden just came in and flew past Bernie Sanders without even like a fight or a tussle, that's quite concerning, isn't it? I think Andrew Yang's in a good position now. I think Andrew's gonna come up out of nowhere, where it's gonna appear that way to a lot of candidates when he comes up. And I think he's going to shoot up real high over these debates, because I think a lot of people are going to realize that, hey, we hear something better in this Andrew Yang guy. We don't want any more of that past Biden, Clinton, Obama administration stuff. We want something new now. All right. And I think it's going to probably hit them when those debates and Andrew Yang starts to, because it only takes a few minutes to listen to Andrew Yang. A lot of people haven't listened to Andrew Yang yet, to convince, and he can convince a lot of people once they give him 10, 15 minutes. So the problem is a lot of times they don't give him a lot of time. He's got to try to sell you on a universal basic income, a concept that's scary to people they've never heard before, in like 5 minutes on these shows, right? In media coverage, like 5 minutes for him to do that. I've been hearing something about he's going to be on was it Tonight Show? I think it's Stephen Colbert show or something like that. So that'll give him a little bit more press as well. So the more he can get out in the media and get in their eye and get known, I think that's going to, be a good thing. But I think that's all I want to say in this video, guys. But get over to the website, our Universal Basic Income website. I think it's going to be good for you all who watch the channel. Don't delay. Do it today. Get those advantages that you so much deserve and participate. Let us know if you think Andrew Yang is too nice to be the president of the United States. It's too nice to go up against Donald Trump. Let us know what you think in the polls. We'll leave a link in the description. That's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. And until next time, take care.